We have open world PvP in our game, so if you want to create an exile or you want to create a dominion, you can definitely do both on the same server, because there are zones in the game that we've made where both factions will be playing. So of course we want to see that conflict and that, you know, PvP out in the open world. So yeah, we didn't want to separate it to where Dominion were only on one server and Exiles were only on another. Every month we will put in new content, so you'll see a new zone and you'll see other things as well. So PvP battlegrounds or PvP arenas, you'll see dungeons, you'll see raids, you'll see housing content, you'll see all this stuff that's in the game. We're going to add more consistently, and it's free, or it's part of your subscription anyway, so we will not put it behind paywalls. We've been working on it for a while. And we've had a lot of stuff that we had done to a certain level and kind of thought, well, we could put this in the releasing game, but let's just pick a smaller amount of content and polish that, and we'll keep this stuff for post-launch. So we have a lot of it that's already gotten a lot of work, and so you'll start to see more stuff as we kind of go by. You'll also see things like holidays and other events as well. Yeah, we'll have like spring and winter and other events. I can't talk about them too much, but I can tell you that they're really funny and they're really interesting because they have a lot of cool mechanics. We had, in fact, one of our designers that's working on it used to be a holiday designer from WoW, is on our team, so he's doing the holidays for us as well. So every week in the 40-person raid, there's going to be a room where 2 bosses will be in. It's random as to which bosses those will be. The rest of the raid, for the most part, is pretty much set. You know, this is what it's going to be. But that one, it changes from month to month. I'm not allowed to kind of talk about them because we had stuff that we didn't announce yet that we wanted to get in the game, but we were going to get in at a later point in time. So yeah, my bosses would be pretty mad at me if I was to tell you that, actually. But just know that we are coming up with ideas, and you know, I was talking earlier about what we're going to do post-launch. A lot of that stuff is based off of features that we already have. I think if we were to do something like an expansion, it would be a completely new sort of thing. That would probably be a pay. You'd have to pay for the box, you know, to get that or something. But that would probably be a new feature type that's not in the game at all. So the stuff that we'll release on month to month will be big, and we'll have different types of gameplay, but that would be a whole thing unto itself. No. Once you create a character, that's how it is throughout the entire game. There's no like haircuts or anything like that.
Nothing?
It could be post-launch that we put something like that in. It kind of depends on a lot of things. But right now what we're focusing on is getting the game optimized and getting it bug-free and get rid of all the stuff that, you know, is slowing the game down. So we'll look into that, but you know, we listen pretty regularly to what people have to say about the game. So if there's a big outcry for that sort of thing, I'm sure it's something we could discuss. Yeah, I think we probably won't see them as frequently as we have been now. I'd like to keep them going. I like them just because obviously I'm biased because I'm the one recording them. But I think that after we have big patches, we'll probably see those. So if there's an update every 3 months that's huge with lots of stuff, you'll probably see a dev speak talking about what's new in it. I would love to see, you know, a Carbine Con or a Wildstar Con or something like that. It all depends on how well our game does. If our game does really well, I think you'll see some stuff like that where we have fans out to you know, kind of celebrate the game and to meet up and congregate. But it depends on how well it does, but I'd love to see it. I'm guessing that within the first month that there won't be a guild that will be able to get into the 40-person raid. It's going to be very difficult. Based off of getting people the right equipment and attunement process that we have to go through to get stuff, there's going to be quite a few things to do in order to get into that. So I don't know how many will be getting in there to do it and how often that'll be, but you know, we have a restriction on the raids. You can only do it once a week. So I think that will kind of slow down some stuff a little bit, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, people go through stuff quickly. I will say this: I think that we'll have somebody at level 50 within a day or two. That's okay. If MMO developers are under any other impression that it'll take them hundreds and millions of years to do it, it's just it doesn't happen. So we'll see what happens. I think so. I think it'll keep people playing for a long time. But not only do we have the raids, but to go into a little more detail, we have these weapons called artifact weapons.
Yeah.
The artifact weapon is, let's say I'm a warrior and I have a sword, and there's quests that are on my sword, and every quest that I complete, that sword becomes more powerful. So to have the most badass epic sword, you have to do some really complicated and crazy things. And that's just for one person, and that drop is really rare. So there's even a quest on it to kill 2 40-person bosses in the open world at the same time.
At the same time?
Yeah. So we're trying to make content that is ridiculously difficult, because those people, the people that get up really quickly and they have like nothing to do, we want to give them stuff to do that's going to take them a while. There's 1 per class. They're rated pink. The really cool thing is settlers actually help out in raiding quite a bit because they can spawn in vendors. So if your equipment starts taking some damage, you can spawn those guys in and they'll fix that gear. So that's one way to do it. Housing in general, though, is useful just because when you can spawn in your own raid portal, you don't have to go somewhere in the world to go in. You know, we'll see, we just saw this the other day, a guild stood in front of a raid portal and did nothing but PvP another guild, so they were slowing them down and stuff like that. It was funny to watch and fun to watch, but I'm sure that guild is like, man, I wish we had a raid portal right now so that they wouldn't have to fight through those guys to get in. So you know, I think that the cool thing about housing as well is the more stuff you have in your house, the more rest XP you get.
Oh yeah.
So also at endgame, well, the way that we're handling leveling is when you hit level 51, you technically don't go to 51, it goes back to 50 again, but you earn elder currency, which is something that you can spend on items that you can only get at level 50, and including items that you would get in a dungeon. Now the amount of money to get those is really high, and you also have to have the achievement unlocked of beating that boss in order to get it. So it's a good way to, if you get screwed over by the RNG a bunch of times, you're like, damn it, drop, you know. It's one of those things that you can spend your money on that. But there's a ton of variety of things you can spend your money on, whether it's housing, armor, weapons, mounts, customization. There's just loads of stuff that you can spend your money on. So players are gonna have to go like, what do I want to spend my money on? You know, do I want to save it? Do I want to wait? I think it provides a lot of choice, which is great for players, especially at endgame. The paths, they will have some areas in the dungeons that you can only access if you're like an explorer, or you know, scientists can scan specific things and get buffs. They're kind of all over the place in what you can do. The raids don't focus as much on the path content as much as the dungeons do, but I think that there's certainly a presence in war plots, for example. Scientists can scan certain plants, and that arms buffs or debuffs on enemies. Explorers have different path movement. There's a lot of path stuff that goes in endgame as well. I always choose Dominion.
Yeah.
So I like Dominion because I'm super into metal music.
Yeah. And
nothing's more metal than dragon-looking people and or 9-foot-tall metal robots. It's freaking awesome. So it's a toss-up between Draken and Makari, really, for me. I really like the Chua too. If I do like a range class, I always choose the Chua because they're weird and little vindictive bastards, so that's cool for me too. My favorite boss, probably, it's a toss-up, there's two. One is Mordecai Redmoon, who is a marauder boss. He has 4 arms, and when he fires in 4 directions, and he changes them. So you have to get out of the way of all those things, and there's a terraformer that he's in front of in Skullcano, and it moves around the room, and if you touch it once, you die. and
Just die.
usually dead. And so you always have to, it's like there's 4 corners and they move like this, and so you have to stay in between them, but it's fast, and then there's lava things that come out that you have to avoid on top of that. So that's hard, but then the veteran version, they add a lower beam that you have to double jump over while it's going around like this. So you're like, oh my gosh! And then you're still trying to avoid that with the lava coming in. It's crazy. That's a lot of fun. Another one is Trogan. Trogan is in Kelvareth, and what he does, he does this thing where he charges like this, and then all of a sudden there's just loads of these telegraphs that fill the room, like everywhere. And so it's like row that just keep going out like this, and you have to keep moving in and out of like, I can't, you have to like go in and out. And then there's also a part where these icons are coming in towards him, and you have to collect them before he can get them, because if he gets them, he gets buffed up and he does more damage. So everybody has to work together to collect all these before it gets to him, and it's really hectic. And if he gets them all, it's like you're just gonna get wrecked.